Hey, darling. Hey. I've switched from coffee to champagne. I'm getting ready for the new year. Whoa, 2014. Can you believe it? Hard for me to believe. My God. You know, we always say, where does the time go? It's Christmas already. It's my birthday already. We say that every year. And it is, and it doesn't change anything. But what I would like to tell you is that one New Year's Eve, two young women came to my home for New Year's. And I really don't like New Year's celebrations. So we decided at midnight we would have a visualization. And I'm really good at it. And visualizations, I don't know if you're aware of them, if you've done them, but if you have, you know that there's a way we reach another part of our lives that we don't understand. Some say a higher power, whatever it is, it works. And in fact, I wrote about that in Whispers from God because Dr. Sheila Crystal taught me how to do visualizations. And a result from that was that it led me to this work that I did all over the world. And doors opened with world leaders. I wasn't anybody. We're all somebody, and I've felt that about myself, and I'm sure you do too. And if you don't, you should. But I certainly had no political connections. And one instance was when we went to China, and I had a group of children with me. And when we got on the bus that we'd arranged at the airport to go to our hotel, I said to the gentlemen who were accompanying us, the Chinese gentlemen, what is our schedule? Because they would always have the schedule. And I had sent faxes, I'd written letters. We didn't have the internet, of course, at that time. And I wanted to see Premier Zhao Jiaying. So I said to the gentleman, what is our schedule? And they said, oh, today you're going to see the Minister of Tourism's having a Peking duck banquet for you because it was Christmas Eve. And I said, oh, that's just lovely. But when are we seeing Premier Zhao? Oh, then you're going to Great Wall. And I said, and they were in a dither anyway because they'd never had a group of children come to their country, and certainly not a group of children on a peace mission, and not a group of children led by a blonde-haired woman who wouldn't take no for an answer. So I stopped by. I said the next day, no, it must have been 2 days before Christmas, because on Christmas Eve they were going to the Great Wall. And I said, well, I don't want to go. I have things I need to do. But I was in the tour bus with everyone else. And I said to the gentleman in charge, where is the American consulate, or the United States consulate? And they said, right there, where we were stopped. And I said, well, I'm getting out here. I'll see the rest of you back at the hotel. And I had adults, who were in charge of the children. And I get out, I go into the embassy, and I asked for the ambassador. I didn't even know his name. Yeah. And the woman there said, well, why do you want to see the ambassador? And I said, well, is the ambassador in? And with that, a gentleman walked out, and he said, why do you want to see the ambassador? And I explained to him I had these children with me, and we wanted to see Premier Zhao, and we wanted to talk to him about our peace activities and get him involved. And the man thought I was totally nuts, of course. And he just laughed, and he said, lady, I don't know who you are, but I have been trying to get a phone call from that office for 3 weeks and I can't get my phone call returned. And I said, well, then you have the phone number. And he's like, oh, who is this crazy woman? And with that, so help me, as if she were supposed to walk on the stage, like a stage play. This Chinese woman walked out. She was wearing the garb, you know, the chimasong and so forth. And she said, I have number. I said, may I have it? And she gave it to me, written out. So help me God. And I said to this gentleman who had been challenging me, may I use your phone? And by then it's like, oh, well. So he gave me the phone, and I called the number, and I got a gentleman named Mr. Lee. And I gave him my spiel, and I said, you know, in China, I understand you have one child per family policy, and I understand that, but a lot of people think you don't like children. This is your opportunity to show you do like children. So he said, we had this long conversation. He said, where are you staying? And I told him where. And I said, furthermore, you don't celebrate Christmas, but we do, and we would like to be received on Christmas Day. I laugh at myself. I really do. God, can you imagine doing that? But anyway, I did. So I get back to the hotel, and the group gets back from seeing the Great Wall, and I said, we're going to have a visualization, a meditation visualization. The children loved it, and they were so good at it. So they sat on the floor in my room in a circle, and I led it. And I told them, you know, it's a process where you have to relax your body, you close your eyes, you breathe deeply. The whole routine I'm sure many of you have done. And it takes time. And then I had the children see Premier Zhao. I said, you don't have to know what he looks like, but put him in the middle of the circle and see him receiving us, see him hugging you children, seeing him receiving the mail we brought for him, and signing our Declaration of Dependence, because at that time we had this wonderful document called the Declaration of Dependence. And so we did that, and when we got through, the children said, oh, yes, he saw us. Oh, yeah, it was a fact. It was a fact. And it's a longer story, so to cut to the chase, the next day, which was Christmas Eve, I got a call from Mr. Lee, and he said, Miss Pat, good news. Christmas Day, you're being received in the Great Hall of the People by Premier Zhao at 2:00 in the afternoon. And that's what happened. We go to the Great Hall of the People. Premier Zhao himself was standing at the door to greet us. There was a Chinese child to hold hands with each of our children. I'm talking about, what was it, like 1984, when people were still wearing the Mao uniforms, and it was really an unknown country for most of us. And we met with him. He was a lovely man, for 2.5 hours. It was amazing. He signed our Declaration of Dependence, which I have hanging on my wall in my living room. And it was just remarkable. So I'm telling you that to tell you and suggest to you, can't tell you anything, I can suggest, that you do a visualization at midnight on New Year's Eve, it would be, going into the new year, and do a deep one for whatever it is you want most to bring into your life. It's worked amazingly, astonishingly well for me. It's magical, but it isn't really, you know, it's a meant to be. And I'm telling you this without elaborating, and there's a lot to elaborate on, obviously, but it's the truth. And there are 2 people on Facebook who experienced this with me, the young women who came over that New Year's Eve. And what happened to them immediately following, like the next day, is nothing short of miraculous. Just what they wanted to have happen. So, having said that, keep the champagne cold. I'm coming to see you. It looks like I'm having a seance. So with that, the bracelet my son gave me, the force be with you, darling.